Hello and welcome back to the next video in the series. Today we are going to be subsampling points and plotting them. So the reason we need to subsample is because if we look at how large our extent is, we almost have 2.5 million pixels in here. So this is the width times the height. So we're going to subsample, and the way to do that is to make random points. So I'm going to type in my processing toolbox random points, and I'm going to choose the random points in extent. I'm going to double click here. In my input extent, I'm going to choose calculate from layer, and all of these are the same extent, and so I'm going to use the DEM just to start. In the number of points, I'm going to make this 2,500. You may make it more or less, however you'd like. However, eventually we're going to export to Excel, and I suggest keeping under 25,000. Be sure that you're in the right coordinate system, and you can keep this as a temporary layer. We're not going to need to save this. So go ahead and run that, and we can see we have now generated a whole bunch of random points across our landscape. Okay, now with those random points, we can sample within those. So I'm going to choose sample raster values. This is under raster analysis, so double click on this one, and my input layer is going to be these random points we just created. My raster layer, which is the data that you want to add into the attribute table, I'm going to do elevation first, and then I'm going to just choose the name for the column, and I'm going to keep this as a temporary layer also. So we go ahead and run, and we can see that we now have this sampled. I'm going to right click and go to open attribute table, and we can see that for each point we have an elevation that corresponds. Okay, so now that we have that, we can run this multiple times. So I'm going to do that for my next one, and I want my next one to be northness. I'm going to again name the column, and I'm going to keep that as a temporary layer. Because of the way this works, I'm going to change the name to just sampled one, so that we can determine which one is which. So I'm going to repeat again, sampled one, and my next one's going to be aspect. I'm going to choose aspect, and I'm going to rename this to sampled 2. Okay, rerun. Remaining ones, we've got slope, and going to continue to rename these as I go, because every time I open this up, I want to be able to choose the next sampled one. Finally, I'm going to do radiation, and I'm going to call this radiation March. Okay, this is my final one that has everything in it. So I'm going to go ahead and save this to my working directory, and I'm going to call this plotting data. Remember not to use any spaces, and then we can go ahead and run this. Okay, so now that we have this, let's open up our attribute table and just make sure that we have all of our data we want. So for each point, we have elevation, northness, aspect, slope, and our radiation. That's perfect. You can go ahead and remove these temporary layers. And the next thing I want to do, actually, let me back up quickly. Instead of doing what I just did where I ran that 4 times, there is this plugin called Point Sampling Tool. And you can do this all at once in this direction, in this way, where you choose the points you want to add in. However, I find this to be kind of finicky. It is an open source plugin, and it breaks pretty easily. So using the core GIS plugins seems to be the easiest way for me to do this. You're welcome to experiment with this. Okay, now we want to plot. So I am going to go up to plugins, manage and install plugins. And when it loads, the one I want you to search is Data Plotly. I already have it installed, but you go ahead and install it for me. And then this will show up as this in the top corner here. And within this, you can choose the shapefile you just made. So I'm going to choose plotting data. And then I'm going to choose, let's say I want to plot northness by radiation. You have all these stylistic components that you can choose, but I'm just going to show you this quickly, and you can create a plot. We just plotted, so that's a great way to do that. Okay, lastly, if we want to export this to Excel, what I'm going to do is right click on my shapefile. I'm going to go to export and I'm going to go to save features as, choose comma separated value. You can go ahead and save it. I'm going to save it in my demo layers here as plotting data and make sure it is in UTF-8. Okay. I'm going to press OK, and now I have a CSV that I can import to Excel for more detailed plotting. Great, we'll see you in the next video.